First of all,
Gaming with Jolly Roger
would like to thank Pima Air and Space Museum for their extensive expertise and breathtaking displays. If you're ever in or near Tucson, Arizona, and you are even remotely interested in aircraft or history, treat yourself and visit this fantastic museum. One of their displays features our subject, the Ilyushin IL-2 Sturmovik. Interestingly, this aircraft, known as the Russian flying tank, is the most produced military aircraft design in aviation history, with over 36,000 built. Even more impressive considering they were only produced over the brief period from 1941 to 1945, just a little over 4 years. No doubt this prolific output was greatly motivated by a telegram sent to the plane's manufacturers by none other than Russian Premier Joseph Stalin, who wrote, "You have let down our country and our Red Army. You have the nerve not to manufacture IL-2s until now? Our Red Army now needs IL-2 aircraft like the air it breathes, like the bread it eats. Shankman produces 1 IL-2 a day, and Tretyakov builds 1 or 2 MiG-3s daily. It is a mockery of our country and the Red Army. I ask you not to try the government's patience and demand that you manufacture more ILs. This is my final warning." Darth Vader could take some cues on motivation from this guy. But it worked. In fact, the IL-2 production numbers rank it as the second most produced aircraft ever, exceeded only by the ubiquitous Cessna 172 with over 44,000 built. Of course, the 172 began production starting in 1956 and now continues as of 2021. Needless to say, the Russians are renowned for their ability to produce in quantity. The number of Kalashnikov AK-47 assault rifles is around 75 million made, and still counting. But let's get back to the subject of the IL-2, or flying tank, so named for its thick armor that made it supremely difficult to down with small caliber weapons. The armor was also an integral, load-bearing component of the plane's structure, and that helped somewhat with weight distribution, but it was still a heavy plane. Empty weight, 9,975 pounds. Loaded weight, 14,021 pounds. In comparison, the sleek P-51 Mustang's empty weight, 7,125 pounds. The loaded weight, 10,100 pounds. The IL-2 was a robust 2 tons heavier, and that costed in performance. The range, 475 miles, considered acceptable as it was a close support aircraft. Ceiling, 11,480 feet, again, satisfactory for close support. No need to fly very high if you're striking enemy tanks on the ground. The greatest performance deficit, however, was seen in the maximum speed at a tick over 250 miles per hour. Experience had pilots adopting an unusual tactic, where they would fly so slow that the German fighters overshot them, at which point they would take the enemy down with the IL-2's front guns. And those front guns packed some serious punch in the form of 2 23mm cannons and a pair of 7.62mm machine guns. There was also a rear gunner manning a 12.7mm machine gun. Unfortunately, unlike the pilots and engine, these gunners were considered expendable, and the craft features precious little aft armor, perhaps explaining the discoloration on the rear gunner's seat in these photographs. If those guns were not enough, the IL-2 could also carry rocket projectiles, but truth be told, accuracy was poor at best. The plane also incorporated bomb bays under the wings, but without any bomb sight, they too were wildly inaccurate. Flyby attacks were a chief tactic, the 23mm cannons the weapon of choice. But then, too, the Soviets started using 2.5 kilogram shape charge bomblets containing 1.5 kilograms of explosives. An IL-2 could carry 280 of these. Able to penetrate armor up to 70 millimeters thick, nothing the Germans had could withstand it. A group of IL-2s could fly over convoys and simply rain destruction on them. It goes without saying that wartime requires effectual weaponry, but it also makes tremendous demands on the warriors that command these weapons. Many an IL-2 pilot stood out, one of the best, with 243 missions flown on the way to eventually receiving the very highest honor possible at the time, the Gold Star, Hero of Soviet Union, was female pilot, Senior Lieutenant Anna Yegorova. Yet another recipient of the Hero of the Soviet Union medal was Guards Junior Lieutenant Ivan Grigorovich Drashenko, who lost an eye during one mission, but returned to active duty and flew planes for the motherland until the end of World War II. Those are some tough pilots. And certainly this plane was rugged. So don't get us wrong, but in the final analysis, its importance in the war effort was mostly due to sheer numbers, not so much as an indication of its capabilities. Throw 36,000 of almost any weapon platform at an enemy, and it will make a difference. This is further confirmed by the fact that even though the IL-2 was the second most produced aircraft in the world, not many survive. Nearly 27,000 were lost during the war years alone, almost 3/4 of the production total. So perhaps most impressive in this wartime tale is not the plane itself, but rather Russian production capacities when needs demand, the reality of which is no illusion.